All right, so you're thinking about going for an interview as an employment program coordinator,
Yeah.
which is a pretty amazing role because you can really have a positive impact on people's lives,
It is.
help them find jobs, and, really build a stronger workforce.
Yeah.
And the really cool thing is we've got some great resources from RoleCatcher to help people prep for these interviews.
Absolutely.
So we're
It's a
going to
fascinating field.
dive into all that today. But first, I think it makes sense to get a really clear picture of what an employment program coordinator actually does.
Yeah, for sure. So at its core, this role is all about research developing and implementing programs. And these programs are designed to improve employment standards, to really tackle issues like unemployment, and to create a more equitable and robust workforce.
Okay, so you're not just like sitting at a desk all day.
No.
Sounds like you're actually out there
You're working
working with people.
with a lot of different people. You're working with government agencies, with nonprofits, with private companies, and of course with the individuals who are seeking employment.
That sounds like a lot to juggle.
It is.
I can only imagine some of the tough questions they'd ask you in an interview.
Oh, yeah.
So speaking of questions,
Yeah.
RoleCatcher actually gave us a list of common interview questions for this role.
They did.
And we're going to break down how to approach each one so you can really ace that interview.
Awesome.
Are you ready to dive in?
I'm ready.
Okay. So the first question is, can you tell us about your experience in coordinating employment programs?
So this is really your chance to showcase your track record, any successes you had, and demonstrate the impact that you've already made in this field.
Okay, so it's not enough to just like list off, I coordinated this program, I coordinated that program.
Yeah, you really want to show them what you did.
What would a really powerful answer sound like?
Yeah. Okay, so let's think about a specific program that you coordinated. Let's say you worked on a program to help veterans transition back into the civilian workforce.
Okay.
So you could start by describing that program, its goals, and then highlight your specific responsibilities and the challenges that you faced.
Okay, so for example, did you have to like adapt the program at all?
Exactly. Did you have to adapt it to meet the needs of veterans?
Right.
Were there any funding obstacles? How did you overcome those challenges?
So it's really like painting a vivid picture, not just like the bullet points on your resume.
Yeah, for sure. And most importantly, you want to quantify your achievements.
Okay.
So did you exceed program targets? Did you receive any positive feedback from participants or stakeholders? Did you maybe even achieve any cost savings or efficiency improvements?
I bet those numbers would really help your accomplishments stand out.
They really do. And the numbers really speak volumes and demonstrate the impact of your work.
Okay.
And keep in mind that the interviewer might follow up with some questions about your specific role in the program. So they might ask you, what was your biggest contribution to the program's success, or what did you learn from this experience?
Okay, so it's important to like think beyond that initial response and anticipate those follow-up questions.
Exactly.
Really show them you've thought about it.
And you know what else can help with that?
What?
RoleCatcher's AI
Oh, that's right.
can actually help you practice answering these questions.
So tell me a little bit more about how that works.
Yeah, so you can type in that question.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about your experience in coordinating employment programs? And RoleCatcher's AI will analyze it and give you some tips that are tailored to this specific job role.
Oh, wow.
So, for example, it might suggest highlighting your experience working with veterans,
Right.
as we just discussed, or maybe emphasizing your ability to adapt programs to meet the needs of specific populations.
Okay, so it's not just generic interview advice.
No, it's really customized.
This is like actually specific to the role you're applying for.
Exactly. And once you've kind of crafted your response, you can actually record yourself answering the question, and then you get AI-powered feedback
Oh, wow.
on your content and even your body language.
It's like having a mock interview
It is.
with an expert
Yeah.
who can really help you
Yeah.
pinpoint what you need to work on.
The more you practice, the more confident and prepared you'll feel going into that interview.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've tackled the first question, and we even touched on how RoleCatcher can help you craft a winning response.
Yeah.
Now let's move on to question number 2. How do you ensure that employment programs are aligned with the needs of the community and stakeholders?
This question is all about demonstrating your understanding of the bigger picture.
Okay.
They want to see that you're not just following a script, but that you're actively engaging with the community, gathering information, and making sure that programs are relevant and effective.
So it's about showing that you're proactive.
Yes.
And that you really care about making a difference,
Exactly.
not just checking boxes.
And one way to effectively answer this question is to highlight your experience with different methods of gathering information.
Oh, like what kind of methods?
So you could talk about conducting surveys to gather feedback from community members, or organizing focus groups to get more in-depth insights from specific groups, or attending community meetings to hear about local concerns and priorities firsthand.
So you're really showing that you're going out there and getting the information,
Yes.
and you value diverse perspectives.
You also want to mention how you analyze and interpret that information to then shape program design and implementation.
Okay, so it's not enough to just like gather the data.
No,
You need to know what to do with it.
you have to be able to use it
Right.
to make decisions.
Or make those programs better.
Yeah, so for example, you could give an example of how you use survey data to identify a skills gap in the community
Okay.
and then tailored a training program to address that specific need. Or you could talk about how you collaborated with local employers to ensure that a job placement program aligned with their hiring requirements and the current demands of the labor market.
So it's really about connecting the dots between the data, the program, and the actual outcomes.
Exactly. And keep in mind, the interviewer might follow up with questions like, what are some challenges you faced in gathering community input? Or how do you handle conflicting perspectives from different stakeholder groups?
Oh, so that's another one where it's important to think beyond that initial response
It is.
and be ready to dive a little deeper.
And you know what can help with that? Again,
What's that?
RoleCatcher's AI.
Oh, yeah.
They can help you practice answering these questions and fine-tune your responses to make sure you're hitting all the key points.
That's so helpful.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've covered two pretty key questions so far.
Yeah.
Let's move on to question number 3. Can you describe your experience in working with diverse populations?
This question is all about demonstrating your commitment to equity and inclusion.
Okay.
They want to know that you understand the unique needs of different groups and that you're able to create programs that are accessible and beneficial to everyone.
And this is so important in this field,
Absolutely.
where you're really working to create opportunity for everyone.
It's not enough to just say that you value diversity.
Right.
You need to back it up with concrete examples of how you've put those values into action.
What kind of examples would really resonate with an interviewer?
So think about times when you've had to tailor programs or services to meet the specific needs of diverse groups.
Okay.
Maybe you developed outreach materials in multiple languages to reach a wider audience,
Okay.
or adapted a training curriculum to be more inclusive of people with disabilities.
Uh-huh.
Perhaps you organized workshops or events that were culturally sensitive and welcoming to people from all backgrounds.
So it's really about showing that you're not just talking about diversity, you're actually putting in the work to make it a reality.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to discuss any challenges you've encountered in this area and how you've learned from those experiences.
Oh, that's a good point.
It shows that you're committed to continuous improvement and that you're open to feedback.
So you're a lifelong learner.
Exactly.
That's awesome. Now, before we move on to the next question, I actually wanted to touch on something from RoleCatcher's career guide that really resonated with me.
Okay.
They talked about the importance of continuous learning in this field.
Yeah.
And they even mentioned some specific certifications that can really enhance your credentials.
They can, and those certifications can really set you apart from other candidates and demonstrate your commitment to professional development.
What are some of those?
So you have things like the Certified Employment Specialist or the Professional in Human Resources.
Okay.
Those really highlight your specialized knowledge and skills in areas like employment counseling, job development, and program evaluation.
I love how RoleCatcher really broke down all those certifications and explained what each one entails.
It's like having a roadmap for professional growth
Exactly.
in this field.
Okay, so let's get back to those interview questions. Question number 4. How do you evaluate the effectiveness of employment programs?
So this is the one where you really showcase your analytical skills and your ability to measure program impact.
So it's not enough to just implement the programs.
Yeah.
You need to be able to prove that they're working
Yes.
and figure out what could be better.
Identify areas for improvement.
Right. It's about being accountable
Yes.
for those results and using data to tell a really compelling story.
Absolutely. So when answering this question, be specific about the metrics that you use to track progress.
Okay.
So do you track job placement rates Wage increases participant satisfaction.
Okay.
The number of participants who complete the program and go on to achieve their career goals.
It's about choosing the right metrics that align with the program's objective
Yes.
and prove that it's actually having the impact that you intended.
And don't just list those metrics. Explain how you collect and analyze the data.
Okay.
So do you use spreadsheets, databases, specialized software? Do you conduct surveys or interviews to gather feedback from those participants?
So you're showing that you know how to work with data
Yeah.
and you can get meaning from it.
Exactly. And don't forget to share an example of how you've used data to make program improvements.
Okay. What would be a good example of that?
So maybe you identified a bottleneck in the application process.
Okay.
And you streamlined it to increase efficiency, or maybe you discovered that a certain training module wasn't as effective as it could be,
Right.
and then you revised it based on participant feedback.
I love those examples. It's
Right.
really about using the data to make a positive change.
Absolutely. And keep in mind, the interviewer might follow up with questions about your experience using specific data analysis tools
Okay.
or methodologies. So they might ask, are you familiar with statistical software packages, or how do you ensure data quality and accuracy?
It's a good reminder to brush up on those technical skills.
Yes.
All right. Let's move on to question number 5. How do you ensure compliance with program guidelines and funding requirements?
The compliance question. It might not be the most glamorous topic,
Right.
but it's absolutely essential.
It is.
They want to know that you're responsible, detail-oriented, and capable of managing resources effectively.
Because those funding requirements are there for a reason.
Exactly.
It's about accountability
Yeah.
and transparency.
So when you're answering this question, focus on demonstrating your meticulous approach to program management.
Okay.
So do you have a system for tracking expenditures and ensuring that they align with the budget?
Okay.
Do you regularly review program guidelines and update your procedures accordingly? Have you developed checklists or protocols to ensure that all requirements are met?
So you're really showing that you've got those systems in place
Exactly.
to prevent those errors.
Yeah, and if you've ever had to address a compliance issue,
Okay.
this is a good opportunity to share that experience.
That's a great point.
Just make sure you frame it in a positive light.
Okay.
Focus on the steps you took to identify and rectify the issue and the lessons you learned from that experience.
So turn a potential negative into a positive by showing them you can solve problems.
Yes.
And that you're really committed to ethical conduct.
Exactly.
Now, before we move on to question number 6, I want to highlight another great insight from RoleCatcher's Career Guide.
Okay.
They provided a really interesting overview of the different career paths within this field.
They did.
And it really opened my eyes to the possibilities.
Yeah, they highlighted how this role can be a stepping stone to a variety of exciting career paths. So whether you're interested in specializing in a particular area like workforce development for veterans or people with disabilities, or moving into management or leadership roles.
They even mentioned opportunities in policy advocacy
Yeah.
or research and evaluation,
Yeah, which is great.
which I hadn't even considered before.
It's fantastic to see how this role can open doors to such a diverse range of opportunities.
Yeah,
It's a field where you can really make a difference in the lives of individuals and communities.
that's awesome.
And there are multiple pathways to pursue your passions.
Okay, let's get back to those interview questions. Question number 6. Could you tell us about a time when you had to deal with a difficult stakeholder or partner?
So this question is designed to assess your interpersonal skills and your ability to navigate those challenging situations in a professional and diplomatic manner.
Because you're working with so many different people.
Exactly.
It's bound to happen.
It's inevitable that you'll encounter conflicts or disagreements in this role.
Right.
So they want to know that you can handle them effectively.
So what's the key to answering these questions successfully?
Choose an example that highlights your communication and problem-solving skills, but avoid scenarios that are too extreme or personal.
Yeah.
You want to demonstrate that you can handle conflict constructively, but you don't want to raise any red flags about your ability to work effectively with others.
So what would be like a good example that strikes that balance?
So let's say you were working on an employment program with a partner organization that had a very different approach to outreach and recruitment. They preferred a more traditional approach while you were advocating for a more innovative and targeted strategy.
That definitely sounds plausible.
Yeah, it's a common scenario in this field.
Yeah.
And it's a great opportunity to showcase your ability to find common ground.
So how would you approach that conversation?
So first you would acknowledge the conflict and explain the different perspectives.
Okay.
Then you would describe the steps you took to address the issue.
Like, for example.
So did you initiate a conversation to understand their concerns?
Okay.
Did you present data or research to support your recommendations?
Mm-hmm.
Did you involve other stakeholders to get their input?
So you're showing them that you're proactive, you're willing to listen, and you can find solutions.
Exactly. And don't forget to share the outcome of the situation.
Oh, right. So what happened?
Did you reach a compromise? Did you find a way to incorporate both approaches?
Mm-hmm.
Did the program ultimately benefit from the collaboration?
So you're turning that conflict into a positive outcome.
Exactly. And remember, the interviewer might follow up with questions like, what did you learn from this experience? Or how has this situation shaped your approach to collaboration?
So be prepared to really reflect on what you learned.
Yes.
Okay, so we've covered 6 tough interview questions so far. Are you ready for the final one?
Let's do it.
Okay, here it is. Can you tell us about your experience in grant writing and fundraising?
So this question is all about demonstrating your resourcefulness and your ability to secure the funds needed to make those programs a reality.
Because even with the best program in the world, if you
Right.
can't get the funding, it's not going to happen.
A lot of employment programs rely on grants or other external funding sources, so this is a crucial skill for anyone in this role.
So what's the key to really nailing this question?
Be specific about your accomplishments.
Okay.
So if you've written successful grant proposals, tell them how much funding you secured.
Okay.
What were the key elements of your proposals that led to that success? Did you conduct thorough research to identify the right funding opportunities? Did you tailor your proposals to align with the funder's priorities? Did you develop compelling narratives to showcase the program's impact?
So you're not just writing.
No,
You're thinking strategically about it.
it's strategic.
Yeah.
And if you have experience leading fundraising campaigns,
Okay.
share your strategies and the results you've achieved.
So for example.
So did you organize community events? Did you partner with local businesses? Did you launch online donation platforms?
Okay.
Did you leverage social media to raise awareness and engage potential donors?
So it's about showing that you're creative
Yes.
and you can think outside the box.
Exactly. And if you've had to overcome any challenges in this area,
Hmm.
don't be afraid to share those experiences as well.
So what would be an example of that?
So did you face any rejections, any budget shortfalls? How did you adapt your strategies or persevere to achieve your fundraising goals?
So it's really about showing that you're resilient.
Yes.
You're resourceful even when things get tough.
And the interviewer wants to see that you're passionate about this work and that you're committed to finding the resources to make a difference.
Wow, we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
We talked about what an employment program coordinator does.
Yeah.
We explored 7 challenging interview questions.
We did.
And we even touched on how RoleCatcher's resources can help you really shine in that interview.
Absolutely.
So,
It's been a great start.
yeah,
But we're not done yet.
there's more.
In part 2, we'll dive even deeper into those interview questions and explore some more advanced strategies for crafting compelling responses.
Stay tuned.
We'll be right back.
We'll be right back.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the world of an employment program coordinator.
All right, so we've already talked about the core responsibilities of this role,
We have.
and we've tackled some of those tough interview questions.
We did.
But now I want to dive into some more advanced strategies for crafting those responses
Okay, so that's good.
so that you can really stand out from the competition.
Yeah, because even with all the experience and passion in the world,
Right.
you need to be able to articulate your skills and insights effectively to really impress those hiring managers.
It's true. Okay, so let's revisit some of those interview questions,
Yeah.
but with a focus on showcasing those soft skills.
Okay.
So we started with, can you tell us about your experience in coordinating employment programs?
Yeah.
What are some of those subtle touches that can elevate your answer?
So one effective technique is to weave in a compelling narrative
Okay.
that highlights not just what you did, but how you approached the challenges
Right.
and what you learned from the experience.
So it's not just a lake of accomplishments.
No.
It's like telling a story
It's about telling a story.
that really showcases your thought process
Yes.
and your growth.
Exactly. So for example, instead of simply saying, I exceeded program targets, you could say, we faced a significant challenge in reaching our target population. So I took the initiative to partner with local community organizations and develop a targeted outreach campaign, which ultimately led to a 20% increase in program participation.
That's so much better.
Yeah.
It paints a picture of you taking initiative.
It does. It shows that you're not afraid to take initiative
Right.
and that you're committed to finding creative solutions.
Those problem-solving skills.
Totally.
I love it. Okay.
And remember,
Yeah.
you can use RoleCatcher's AI to practice different ways of framing your experiences and get feedback on which approach is most effective.
Oh, yeah. It's like having a storytelling coach in your pocket.
It is.
Okay. Let's move on to that second question.
Okay.
How do you ensure that employment programs are aligned with the needs of the community and stakeholders?
This one can be tricky
It can.
because it's not always easy to balance those diverse perspectives and priorities.
That's true, but it seems like this is a great opportunity to show that you can collaborate.
It is. It's a fantastic opportunity to demonstrate your collaborative spirit and your ability to build consensus among different groups.
So how can we do that?
You could talk about how you facilitated meetings or workshops to bring stakeholders together,
Right.
how you actively listen to their concerns and ideas, and how you use those insights to shape program design and implementation.
So you're showing that you can really build those relationships.
Yeah, it does. And remember, even if you face challenges in achieving consensus, you can still frame those experiences positively
Okay.
by highlighting the lessons you learned and how you've grown as a collaborator.
Turn those challenges into opportunities for growth.
Exactly. And you know what else can help?
What's that?
RoleCatcher's AI
Oh, yeah?
can actually analyze the specific job description and provide you with tailored tips for answering this question.
Wow.
So, for example, if the job description emphasizes collaboration with community organizations, the AI might suggest highlighting your experience working with specific organizations in your community
Okay.
and the outcomes you achieve together.
So it's taking into account the specific job you're applying for.
It is precisely, and that level of customization can really give you an edge
That's right.
in your interview.
Okay, let's move on to question number 3.
Mm.
Can you describe your experience in working with diverse populations?
So this question gives you a chance to showcase not just your awareness of diversity,
Okay.
but your genuine commitment to creating programs that are accessible and beneficial to everyone.
This is so important.
It's not just about ticking boxes. It's about demonstrating that inclusivity is truly embedded in your approach
Right.
to this work.
Okay, so how do we do that?
So one way to do that is to share stories that highlight your empathy
Okay.
and your ability to connect with people from different backgrounds.
I'm listening.
Okay, so let's say you worked on a program to help refugees find employment.
Okay.
You could talk about the challenges they faced, not just in terms of language barriers or lack of work experience,
Yeah.
but also in terms of the trauma they may have experienced.
Right.
And then you could share how you adapted the program to address those specific needs, perhaps, by providing counseling services, cultural sensitivity training, or mentorship opportunities.
That's powerful
It is.
because you're really showing that you're going beyond just the surface level.
Yeah, and it demonstrates that you're not just designing programs, you're building relationships and fostering a sense of belonging.
It's about creating that welcoming and supportive environment.
Exactly. And remember, you can use RoleCatcher's AI to get feedback on the specific stories you choose to share
Oh, that's right.
and make sure they're really resonating with the interviewer.
Okay, so let's move on to question number 4. How do you evaluate the effectiveness of employment programs?
So this is where you get to showcase your analytical skills
Okay.
and your ability to translate data into actionable insights.
So it's not just about the numbers themselves.
It's about telling a story.
Right, you have to explain what they mean.
Exactly. So when answering this question, think about the different levels of evaluation. So there's the basic level of tracking program outputs, like the number of participants served or the number of job placements achieved. But then there's a more nuanced level of assessing program outcomes and impact.
Right, so you're going beyond just counting heads.
Yeah.
You're really looking at the long-term effects.
So you could talk about how you used qualitative data like participant testimonials or case studies
Okay.
to understand the program's impact on their lives. Or you could discuss how you conducted follow-up surveys to assess the program's long-term effectiveness in terms of job retention or career advancement.
That's great. You're using data to tell a more meaningful story.
Exactly. And remember, you can use RoleCatcher's AI to get feedback on your approach to data analysis
Right.
and make sure you're highlighting the most relevant metrics and methodologies for the specific role you're applying for.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, let's move on to question number 5. How do you ensure compliance with program guidelines and funding requirements?
The compliance question.
Yeah.
It's not always the most exciting topic, but it's crucial to demonstrate that you're responsible, detail-oriented, are
Right.
capable of managing resources effectively.
So no matter how passionate you are,
hmm
if you don't follow those rules and regulations, it can all fall apart.
Exactly. So when answering this question, focus on showcasing your proactive approach to compliance.
Okay.
So don't just talk about what you do when a problem arises, talk about how you prevent problems from occurring in the first place.
Right, so you have those systems and
Yeah,
checks.
exactly. So you could talk about how you developed detailed budget tracking systems, how you regularly review program guidelines to ensure compliance, or how you provide training to staff members on ethical conduct and financial management.
You're showing that you really pay attention to detail.
Yes. And if you have any experience conducting internal audits or program evaluations, this is a great opportunity to highlight those skills as well.
Shows that you're not just following the rules, you're actively looking for ways to improve.
Exactly. And remember, RoleCatcher's AI can help you identify any potential red flags in your approach to compliance and suggest ways to strengthen your responses.
That's great. Okay, let's move on to question number 6. Can you tell us about a time when you had to deal with a difficult stakeholder or partner?
So this question is all about showcasing your diplomacy, your conflict resolution skills,
Right.
and your ability to navigate complex interpersonal dynamics.
Yeah, you're going to encounter different personalities.
Exactly. It's inevitable that you'll face some challenges along the way.
Okay.
So when choosing an example for this question, think about a situation where you had to navigate a difficult conversation, resolve a disagreement, or find common ground with someone who had a very different viewpoint.
Do you have an example?
Yeah, so let's say you were working on a program to provide job training to individuals with criminal records,
Okay.
and you encountered resistance from some community members who were concerned about safety.
Okay.
That's a sensitive topic, and it requires a thoughtful and nuanced approach.
It does. So how would you handle that?
First, you'd acknowledge their concerns and validate their feelings.
Right.
You would demonstrate that you understand their perspective and that you share their commitment to safety. Then you'd present data or research to address their concerns, perhaps, by highlighting the low recidivism rates of individuals who participate in job training programs.
Yeah.
And finally, you would emphasize the importance of giving everyone a second chance and the positive impact that this program could have on both individuals and the community.
So you're finding that balance between empathy and advocacy.
Exactly.
You're acknowledging those concerns, but you're also promoting the value of the program.
Yeah, it's about building trust and finding common ground even when there are differing opinions.
That's great. And it shows that you're not afraid to have those tough conversations.
And you know what else can help?
What?
RoleCatcher's AI can help you practice different approaches to handling difficult conversations and get feedback on which strategies are most effective.
Oh, yeah. That's so useful.
Okay.
Let's move on to the final question. Can you tell us about your experience in grant writing and fundraising?
This question is all about showcasing your resourcefulness, your persuasive writing skills, and your ability to secure the funds needed to make those programs a reality.
Okay, because you need that funding
You do.
to make it all happen.
Exactly. So when answering this question, focus on highlighting your strategic approach to fundraising.
So how do we do that?
Did you conduct thorough research to identify the right funding opportunities?
Okay.
Did you develop compelling narratives that resonated with the funders' priorities? Did you build strong relationships with potential donors?
You're not just hoping something sticks.
No.
You have a plan.
It's strategic. And remember, numbers speak volumes.
Okay.
So if you've written successful grant proposals, tell them how much funding you secured. If you've led fundraising campaigns, quantify the results you achieved.
I love those numbers.
They do.
Because they really show what you've accomplished.
They do, and don't be afraid to share stories about the challenges you faced in securing funding.
And how you overcame those obstacles.
Because it shows that you don't give up.
Exactly. And RoleCatcher's AI can analyze the specific job description and provide you with tailored tips for highlighting the most relevant fundraising experience for that particular role.
So it's like having a fundraising coach
It is.
to help you prepare.
Exactly. And the more you practice and refine your answers, the more confident and prepared you'll feel going into that interview.
This has been so insightful.
It has.
We've really explored how to showcase those soft skills, tell those compelling stories, and leverage RoleCatcher to really make those responses shine.
It's been a great session,
It has.
but we're not quite done yet.
There's more.
In our final part,
Okay.
we'll explore some additional tips and strategies to help you nail that interview and land that dream job.
All right. Welcome back to the deep dive.
Yeah, we've covered so much in this episode already.
Oh, it's been a lot.
From understanding those core responsibilities of the employment program coordinator to really tackling those tough interview questions. Right. And on this final part, I really want to focus on those subtle touches that can help you really stand out in the interview.
Yeah, we've talked about how to showcase those skills and experiences,
Right.
how to weave in compelling narratives, and even how to leverage RoleCatcher's AI to fine-tune your responses. But now it's all about those final flourishes.
Yes. So beyond nailing the answers, what else can we do to make a difference?
Well, one often overlooked aspect is enthusiasm.
Okay.
It sounds simple, but if you're genuinely excited about this work, let it show.
So it's not just about what you say.
Right.
It's about how you say it.
Exactly.
You really have to convey that passion.
Yeah, hiring managers can sense when someone's truly passionate about the work.
Right.
And that enthusiasm is contagious. It tells them that you're not just looking for a job, you're looking for a purpose.
And this is a job with a lot of purpose.
It is.
It's about making a real difference.
Exactly. And that leads to another key tip. Connect your answers back to the organization's mission and values.
Okay.
Do your research.
Right. So you're not just applying to any job.
Yeah.
You're showing them that you care about their organization.
Research the organization thoroughly. What are their core values?
Okay.
What are their key initiatives? What challenges are they currently facing? And then when you're answering those questions, weave in those connections. It demonstrates that you're not just looking for a job, you're looking to contribute to their specific goals and to be a part of their team.
So, for example, if they talk a lot about youth unemployment on their website,
Yeah,
I could talk about my experience with youth mentorship program
exactly.
and how much I love connecting young people with different career opportunities.
It shows that you've taken the time to understand their priorities.
Right.
And that you're thinking about how your skills and experience align with their mission.
Awesome. Okay. So we've talked about enthusiasm. We've talked about research.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Asking thoughtful questions at the end of the interview is also crucial.
Yes, this is a good one. I always get stumped at this part.
Yeah, it's easy to get stumped, but it shows that you're engaged, you're curious, and you're genuinely interested in the role and the organization.
Okay, so what kind of questions should I ask?
Avoid questions that you could easily find the answers to on their website.
Okay.
Instead, ask questions that demonstrate your deep understanding of the role and the organization.
Give me an example.
Okay, so you could ask about the team dynamics, the organization's biggest challenges, or even what the interviewer finds most rewarding about their work.
So you're really sparking a conversation.
Exactly. And remember, an interview is a two-way street.
Right. It's about them getting to know you.
Yeah.
And you getting to know them.
It's as much about you assessing the fit as it is about them assessing you.
That's a good point.
So ask questions that will help you determine if this is an environment where you can thrive and contribute your best work.
And before we wrap up, I just want to reiterate that you don't need RoleCatcher's AI to ace this interview.
No, you don't.
I mean, it's a great tool,
It is.
but your skills,
Yeah.
your passion,
Your preparation.
that's what's really going to make you shine.
It's your genuine self that will impress the interviewer.
And I did find those career insights from RoleCatcher's guide really helpful.
Yeah.
Remember those certifications that they mentioned?
Yeah, those can really make a difference in showcasing your commitment to professional development and specialized knowledge.
What were some of them again?
So you have things like the Certified Employment Specialist,
Yeah.
the Professional and Human Resources.
Right.
Those credentials can really set you apart.
Yeah, and I thought their breakdown of the different career paths in the field was really eye-opening.
Yeah, they highlighted how this role can be a stepping stone to a lot of different exciting careers.
Yeah.
Whether you're passionate about workforce development for specific populations, policy advocacy research and evaluation, or leadership roles.
It's not just one straight path.
No, it's about recognizing that this is a field with multiple pathways.
Yeah, what are you excited about?
Exactly. Think about those big picture questions, and that can help you articulate your vision to potential employers.
So to wrap this all up, you're preparing for a role where you can really have a positive impact on people's lives. Use all the resources available to you, including those from RoleCatcher. But remember, your passion, your preparation, and your commitment are your strongest assets.
And here's a final thought I want to leave you with. As an employment program coordinator, you have the opportunity to shape the future of work. How will you use your skills and your heart to create a more inclusive, equitable, and prosperous workforce for everyone?
That is a fantastic question to think about. Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive. Good luck with your interview. We know you're going to do great.